Hi again, everyone, from the University of West Florida's Innovation Institute. I'm Christian Garman, and in this conversation today, we're going to be talking to Dr. Tina Likovetz, the Director of Student Accessibility Resources at UWF, and we're going to be talking about the many needs that are showing up now, of course, that the campus has moved entirely online. Dr. Likovetz, how are you?
Great, thank you.
Well, so when we talk about student accessibility resources, known as SAR affectionately, tell us what SAR is. What are some of the services you normally would provide before all of this happened?
So with our office with Student Accessibility Resources, we were formerly Student Disability Resource Center, but we changed the name a couple years ago because our main goal is providing access to students despite disability. And so there's a wide range of that. Sometimes it might be extra time for testing, providing textbooks in an alternative format that would be readable with screen reading software, captioning, sign language interpreting, those types of services, depending on what the student's needs are.
So as it relates to the student needs now versus where we were, 2 weeks ago, have things changed dramatically? Or are you finding that for the most part, the same things are needed, you're just having to figure out how to do it remotely? Or were you already sort of doing that in many ways?
The data management system we use is a web-based program, so that was an easy transition for us as far as student records and coordinating services. And we use a lot of technology in our office, so that wasn't a huge jump for our department. But the needs of the students have shifted. What we're seeing is the students don't even realize what their needs are because the environment changed so dramatically in the middle of a semester. So our students who maybe could compensate and do well in a face-to-face class are finding they have new needs while they're in an online environment. Some of the faculty are trying to mimic face-to-face lecture, and so there's that live web streaming that's happening, so it's very similar to face-to-face. But then we also have faculty who've gone to more of a module, text-heavy type format, which is a different challenge for some of our students.
So are you all almost letting them know, hey, you may not have thought of this yet, but this is something that's about to come up? Are you having to almost anticipate those needs and tell them before they even know it?
Yeah, we've tried to be really proactive because we know our students might not realize what they need yet, and we don't want them struggling and then waiting to reach out to us. We have access to Canvas where we can log in and view it as a student, so we know our students. So we're anticipating some of the needs that they might have, and we're already going in and seeing the structure of the lecture and then reaching out to the student to offer some resources.
This has all been so overwhelming, I think, for all of us. Are you finding that for a lot of students, the issues are more, logistical in nature, like you just described, or is some of this more about just sort of the mental well-being of trying to take this all in and figure out how to move forward and stay on task and finish the semester?
I think we kind of felt the logistic piece last week because that was our main concern, is just making sure there was actual access to the material for the students. But what we're finding is that the students that were reaching out to us, at least immediately, it was more of the anxiety and the fear of the unknown. We had a lot of students, they didn't know how long it was going to last, especially last week before the announcement went out that it would be the full spring semester. And so that adjustment period was very difficult.
Dr. Likovetz, I want to talk about some specific populations that I know student accessibility resources serves, those that might be visually impaired, deaf or hard of hearing, perhaps those that might be on the autism spectrum. I know those are some of your populations. About how many students in the student body at large at UWF fall into those categories?
We have about 740 to 745 students registered who have self-identified with our office. For visually impaired, we have about 11. So that's their primary diagnosis is a visual impairment. Deaf, hard of hearing would be about 36. And then our autism population is about 89. So we do have an autism support program. And so that's why we have a high population of students with autism.
So again, these are challenging times for all of us. Are there some specific challenges you're dealing with those populations, or is everybody kind of fitting into the same world now, figuring all this out?
We definitely strategize to reach out to those populations first to give them resources. There's a lot of companies that are offering free captioning or free different resources, textbooks online in alternative formats. Textbooks was a huge issue for our students when the shift happened because it came right after spring break. We had a lot of students who left their textbooks at home or I mean, within the dorms during spring break. And now they're at home and didn't have access. So we had to work with the library and several vendors to try to make sure we had access to textbooks very quickly for our students. But we've definitely reached out because there might have been things they were face-to-face. They didn't need certain accommodations, like especially like with our deaf, hard of hearing population. Captioning probably wasn't a need when you're face-to-face. They could sit closer to the instructor, or they were just kind of compensating. But in an online format, the audio quality is a little bit different, and that can impact them in a different way.
Couple more questions before we wrap up. Firstly, I want to make sure everyone watching this, so many of our students I know are, what's the best way to get in touch with you all for them to find out what you can do for them and the quickest way to get the help they might need?
We have a number of resources within our unit, which is the website would be uwf.edu/success. We have some specific resources due to the COVID-19 shift with remote learning, how to be an online learner, and several other resources. And then our direct website, if students are needing accommodations, would be uwf.edu/SAR. And we are working with students very quickly. Sometimes getting connected with our office might take a week or two, and might be some delays to documentation and things like that. We are working with students within days, and we're not putting a focus on documentation. We're putting on a focus on what they're reporting as their need, so we can get some at least temporary accommodations in place for them.
Gotcha. Good. Lastly, knowing that right now there are more questions than answers for all of us, it seems, what's the best advice you'd give the students who might need the resources of SAR?
A lot of our students register with our department have registered with us due to psychological conditions, anxiety. So we know that's a high population of students we serve as well. So we're trying to assure them that we're here for them. We do a number of coaching and check-in appointments. Just having face-to-face, virtual face-to-face meetings with students has really lowered the anxiety that we've seen in our students. One of our students just kind of talked about letting the challenge become your strength, was a quote she was kind of holding on to. And that's something we're trying to really encourage with our students, that, these are challenges we're all facing, faculty are facing them, staff are facing them, we're all working remotely, and we have all these extra things impacting our ability to do our jobs and to learn. When you're at home, there's different stressors. And so we're just trying to stress that, we're all in this together, and we're going to come out of it stronger. We've been really proud of our students and our faculty with how resilient they've been. Really, really proud to be in Argo, because we've seen how great all of our students and everybody's bounced from this, but even just in a short time.
Really great stuff that you and your team are doing at Student Accessibility Resources. Dr. Tina Likovetz, sure appreciate this wonderful information that I know can help so many. Stay safe, be well, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you.